Russian, Ukrainian, and Western sources observed on April 1 that the Russian winter offensive has failed to achieve the Kremlin's goals of seizing the Donetsk and Luhansk Oblast administrative borders by March 31. Chief of the Russian General Staff Valery Gerasimov had announced on December 22 that Russian forces were focusing most of their efforts on seizing Donetsk Oblast, and Russian forces launched their winter offensive operation in early February along the Kupiansk-Svatov-Kremennolyman line and on select front lines in western Donetsk Oblast. The UK Ministry of Defense, MOD, observed that Gerasimov has failed to extend Russian control over Donbass during his appointment as the theater commander in Ukraine and has achieved only marginal gains by expending mobilized personnel. Ukrainian intelligence representative Andriy Yusov stated that Gerasimov missed the Kremlin's deadline to capture Donbass by March 31. Russian millbloggers fretted that Russian forces must finish their offensive operations in Bakhmut and Avdiivka to prepare for the Ukrainian counteroffensives they expect between Orthodox Easter on April 16 and Soviet Victory Day on May 9. Millbloggers highlighted their disappointment that there have not been any decisive battles throughout the winter and observed that Russia will not be capable of continuing a large-scale offensive operation if it is unable to secure Bakhmut and Avdiivka in the coming weeks. Deputy head of the main directorate of the Russian National Guard, Rosgvardia, in occupied Donetsk Oblast Alexander Khodakovsky stated that he agrees with former theater commander Army General Sergei Surovikin that Russia needs to shift to defensive positions. ISW is not aware of any publicly reported statement Surovikin has made along these lines. Khodakovsky noted that failures during the offensive cause manpower losses and spark negative sentiments among the personnel, and argued that unnamed actors may be attempting to continue the offensive for personal reasons rather than taking a rational approach to the issue. Khodakovsky's comment likely implies that Gerasimov is pursuing personal interest in sustaining the offensive in order to retain favor with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Khodakovsky's recent appointment on March 30 as regional Rosgvardia deputy head and the return of Surovikin, at least by proxy, to the information space may indicate that Gerasimov's unsuccessful theater-wide offensive may already be costing him favor with Putin. Khodakovsky's and millbloggers' requests for Russian forces to prioritize defensive operations are not unreasonable and indicate that nationalist groups are sensible to the changing dynamics on the front lines. ISW had long assessed that the Russian winter offensive is unlikely to be successful due to persistent failures of the Russian command to comprehend the time and space relationships involved in such a campaign. ISW also assessed that Russia would lack the combat power necessary to sustain more than one major offensive operation in Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts, and ongoing recruitment campaigns in Russia and occupied Ukrainian territories may indicate that Russia is preparing for reserve shortages. Growing Russian speculation about Russian military command changes likely indicates that Russia may soon reshuffle its senior military command due to the failed winter offensive. Russian millbloggers claimed on April 1 that the Russian Ministry of Defense, MOD, recalled Russian Airborne (VDV) Forces Commander Colonel General Mikhail Teplinsky from leave on March 30 after the Russian MOD reportedly replaced him with Lieutenant General Oleg Makarevich on January 13. The Russian MOD never confirmed Teplinsky's dismissal, and it is likely that the MOD placed him on leave so it could recall him to command the VDV whenever it deemed necessary. Russian millbloggers claimed that Teplinsky immediately flew to the Russian Joint Grouping headquarters in Rostov-on-Don, Krasnodar Krai, to assume command of the VDV, and that he is already planning future operations. One millblogger claimed that Chief of the General Staff of the Ground Forces and former Central Military District, CMD, Commander Colonel General Alexander Lapin flew with Teplinsky to the Joint Grouping headquarters. The Russian MOD replaced Lapin with Lieutenant General Andrei Mordvichev as CMD commander officially on February 17 following intense public criticism of Lapin for his management of the Svatov-Kremennolyman line in the fall of 2022. It remains to be seen if Lapin will regain a role commanding forces in Ukraine, however. Russian sources speculated starting on March 27 that the Russian MOD has also recently dismissed Eastern Military District, EMD, Commander Colonel General Rustam Muradov in response to intense criticism of his command over significant losses in offensive operations near Volodar in early 2023. ISW has previously observed that intensified Russian speculation about changes in military command has corresponded with real changes in Russian commanders, although not necessarily following the exact claims of Russian sources.